In every human life, a moment eventually arrives when we recognize a truth that has been quietly waiting for us. The most formidable battle we will ever face does not exist outside of us. It is not fought against rivals, circumstances, or the shifting events of the world. It is fought within, behind the eyes, within the depths of our awareness, in the private, unseen corridors of the mind. Some people never discover this battlefield. Others sense it, yet spend their years attempting to master the world while leaving their inner realm untamed. But a rare few choose another path, a path of discipline, clarity, and profound inner command. This is the path walked by Takeshi, a quiet yet revered warrior philosopher of Japan. He was not known for conquest or martial spectacle. Instead, he was known for something infinitely more powerful: the unwavering ability to remain internally still, unmoved, undisturbed, and sovereign, even when the outer world descended into chaos. His method for absolute mental control was whispered about among monks, swordsmen, and ascetics. It was never written down, never publicly taught. It was entrusted only to those deemed ready. Today, you will walk through this method, not as a technique for moments of crisis, but as a philosophy capable of reshaping your entire relationship with your mind. Let us begin at the origin of all inner mastery. Section 1: The Untamed Mind and Its Illusions. Takeshi often compared the untrained mind to a wild horse, beautiful, powerful, instinctive, but prone to sudden fear, unpredictable movement, and impulsive reaction. Most people, he would say, spend their lives being dragged by this horse, dragged by anger that appears without warning, dragged by fears that never materialize, dragged by desires they never questioned, dragged by memories, by fantasies, by the shifting storms of emotion. Takeshi believed that the average person does not think, rather, they are pulled by thoughts. They do not truly feel, they are claimed by emotions. They do not act, they react. He taught that the first step toward mental mastery is understanding a truth we are never taught. Your mind is not you. Your thoughts are not you. Your emotions are not you. They appear within your awareness, but they are not your identity. Takeshi expressed this simply: until you learn to stand apart from your mind, you will remain confined within it. The reason most people suffer internally, he said, is not because their lives are difficult, but because they have never learned to observe the movements of their own mind. They live at the surface, thrown about by each wave of emotion, never realizing that stillness and clarity exist beneath. Thus, the first foundation of Takeshi's method is not action, but awareness, a clear-eyed, non-judgmental observation of the mind. This is the beginning of freedom. Section 2: The Principle of Shin Washington Shizukesa. The heart must first become quiet. Takeshi taught a principle known as Shin Washington Shizukesa. The heart must be still to command the mind. Its waters must first settle. Clarity does not come from force, but from the quieting of internal disturbances. He compared the mind to a pond. As long as its surface is disturbed, you cannot see your reflection. But when it becomes calm, even the stars above are visible. Every human being, Takeshi said, carries a storm, a swirl of desires, fears, expectations, regrets, and imagined futures. It is this storm, not the world itself, that clouds perception. He taught, a mind in turmoil cannot perceive truth. A mind in stillness cannot be deceived. Stillness does not mean an empty mind. It means a mind no longer ruled by noise. To achieve this, Takeshi instructed his students to stop feeding the storm, stop adding stories to emotions, stop wrestling with unwanted thoughts, stop identifying with every passing mood, stop chasing mental noise. Stillness arises not from suppression, but from non-engagement. When you cease fueling internal chaos, silence emerges naturally. This stillness is the ground upon which all mental mastery stands. Section 3: The Inner Current. Breath as the bridges. A student could observe the movements of their mind. Takeshi introduced the second pillar, the breath. To the warrior philosophers of Japan, breath was not simply biological necessity. It was the bridge between body and spirit, between instinct and intention. Takeshi taught a method called Nebu no Nagari, the inner current, When breath is shallow, the mind becomes restless. When breath is frantic, the mind becomes chaotic. But when breath is deep, smooth, and quiet, the mind is compelled to follow. He instructed his students, draw the breath deeply into the hara, the lower abdomen. Let the inhale rise like a slow tide. Let the exhale fall like a gentle wave. Remove all sharpness or noise from the breathing. Make the breath long enough that thoughts cannot keep pace. He explained, if the inner current flows steadily, the mind bows before it. Breath is the rhythm setter of consciousness. To control the breath is to command the mental landscape. Inhale, gather presence. Exhale, release tension. Inhale, return to the body. Exhale, dissolve the mind's noise. Through this practice, the mind learns to obey the breath, and through the breath, you seize the reins of your internal world. Section 4. The 3-second gateway to master. Takeshi believed that all emotions possess a critical opening, a narrow window of vulnerability before they fully form. He called it the gate of 3 seconds. Every emotion begins as a tiny ripple, a tightening in the chest, a quickening of breath, a flicker of thought, a shift in posture. If you intervene within these 3 seconds, the emotion cannot gain strength. But if you hesitate, the spark becomes a blaze. Anger becomes fire. Fear becomes paralysis. Desire becomes obsession. Overthinking becomes a storm. Takeshi taught, if you govern the first 3 seconds, you govern the mind. If you lose them, the mind governs you. Students were trained to detect the earliest signs of emotional surge. A rising heat in the face, a sudden contraction in the belly, a change in breathing, a shift in heart rhythm, a swirl of mental commentary, and then interrupt it, not with force, not with suppression, with presence. A single deep breath into the hara, a release of the shoulders, a softening of the eyes, a lowering of the inner volume. This simple act breaks the momentum. The emotion dissolves instead of escalating. Control begins at the beginning. Section 5. The observer seat. Unmerged awareness. Third pillar of Takeshi's method was known as Kansatsu no Za, the seat of the observer. This is the inner vantage point from which one sees their thoughts and emotions clearly, without becoming them. But Takeshi warned his students, detachment must never become avoidance. Detachment is not indifference. Detachment is clear-eyed presence. He taught, the observer sees without distortion, and therefore responds without error. When a person identifies with every emotion, they drown in it. When they identify with every thought, they become enslaved to mental noise. But when they watch from the observer seat, they maintain sovereignty. Instead of thinking, I am angry, the practitioner sees, anger is arising. Instead of thinking, I am afraid, they note, fear has entered. Thoughts and emotions become passing weather. They appear, they shift, they disappear. By practicing this perspective, the mind begins to lose its power to manipulate. The observer seat is calm, unhurried, neutral, compassionate, grounded. From this state, the mind becomes transparent, and control becomes natural. Section 6. The strength of non-reaction. Takeshi valued non-reaction as one of the highest forms of inner strength. To him, immediate reaction was a sign of instability, a mind easily provoked, easily manipulated, easily defeated. He said, the reactive mind is a mind that can be controlled by anyone. The non-reactive mind is free. Reaction is instinct. Response is mastery. To cultivate non-reaction, Takeshi placed his students in uncomfortable tests. Sudden noises, unexpected commands, moments of tension, abrupt physical contact, verbal challenge, not to harm them, but to reveal their automatic patterns. The instruction was always the same. Do not respond immediately. Do not flinch. Do not collapse into instinct. Breathe. Stay aware. Stay still. With practice, the students developed a gap, a conscious pause between stimulus and response. Within this pause lies power. Within this pause lies freedom. This is the essence of control. Section 7. The command word. The mental bladivri. Student in Takeshi's lineage chose a single internal command, a word that could slice through mental chaos. Some chose mu, emptiness. Others, say, calm. Others, dan, cut. The word did not matter. Intention did. The purpose was simple. Use one true thought to eliminate 1,000 false ones. When the word is spoken internally, with full presence, it interrupts spiraling thought. It severs emotional momentum. It restores clarity. Over time, this word becomes immediate, reflexive, powerful. The moment the mind begins to wander, the word is invoked, and the waters settle instantly. It becomes the sword of the inner warrior. Section 8. The Empty Hand. Releasing the weights of the Min Takeshi. Believe that most inner suffering comes not from what happens to us, but from what we hold on to. Old grudges, outdated identities, imagined futures, unnecessary fears, invisible expectations, buried disappointments. He called his practice of letting go kshu. The empty hand. He taught that a warrior cannot grasp wisdom while holding tightly to the burdens of the past. He had his students visualize their mind as a hand gripping stones, one stone for anger, one for fear, one for regret, one for comparison, one for insecurity. Then he would say only, "Open the hand, let the stones fall. Let the mind breathe, let the heart become light again." Letting go does not erase memory. It removes unnecessary weight. And in that space, clarity naturally appears. Section 9. The Silent Center. Immovable present seat. The heart of Takeshi's teaching lies a single aim, to awaken the silent center within every person. This center is the unmoving core, the part of you untouched by fear, untouched by desire, untouched by the world's turbulence. Most people never reach it because their attention is scattered outward. They live in constant noise, chasing stimulation, validation, distraction. But the warrior philosopher turns inward, into the breath, into the body, into awareness, into stillness. Takeshi taught, when you stand in the silent center, even the strongest winds cannot move you. From this center, thoughts appear and dissolve, emotions rise and fall, chaos comes and goes, but the center remains unmoved. This is true mental sovereignty. This is unbreakable presence. Section 10. Living Takeshi's Method. In the modern world, Takeshi lived in ancient Japan. But the struggles he addressed, fear, distraction, emotional turbulence, are universal. His teachings apply today as powerfully as ever. Every day offers circumstances that challenge your inner stability. Stress, conflict, self-doubt, anxiety, overthinking, impatience, pressure, emotional overwhelm. This method turns each experience into training. Whenever you are challenged, observe the first moment. Interrupt the emotion. Return to the breath. Drop into the hara. Take the observer seat. Use your command word. Release what you are holding. Return to the silent center. Over time, your mind becomes disciplined. Your awareness sharpens. Your reactions fade. Your presence deepens. Your clarity becomes unshakable. This is not temporary skill. It is a way of living. Conclusion. The awakening of inner master. Takeshi's life embodied one profound truth. The world will not become easier. You must become stronger. Mental control is not the absence of emotion, nor the suppression of thought. It is the ability to remain sovereign within yourself, regardless of what arises within or around you. Through breath, through observation, through letting go, through non-reaction, through stillness, you begin to discover your true nature, a nature untouched by chaos. When the mind becomes your ally, nothing outside you holds power over you. When you awaken the silent center, you discover that peace is not a moment, it is a state you carry. This is the essence of Takeshi's teaching. This is the secret Japanese method for absolute mental control. This is the path of the inner warrior. Walk it with honesty, walk it with courage, walk it again and again, and eventually, the mind will bow before you. Section 11. The path of daily practice. Takeshi often reminded his students, wisdom without practice is like a sword that remains in its sheath. Power without discipline is a river that floods without direction. Mental mastery is not a sudden awakening. It is cultivated through repetition, patience, and mindfulness. Every single day. Each day offers opportunities for training. The irritation that rises in traffic, the impatience in conversations, the anxiety that appears before a meeting, the wandering thoughts in quiet moments. Takeshi instructed his students to treat each encounter as deliberate inner training. The practice is deceptively simple. Pause before reacting. Breathe deeply into the hara. Observe without judgment. Invoke the command word. Release all unnecessary tension. Over time, these daily exercises cultivate automatic clarity so that the mind no longer reacts to every external stimulus. Instead, it responds intentionally, calmly, and wisely. Section 12. Embracing discomfort. As the teacher, Takeshi's philosophy emphasized that discomfort is the truest teacher. Pain reveals attachment. Fear reveals vulnerability. Anxiety reveals thought patterns. Frustration reveals impatience. Rather than fleeing from discomfort, Takeshi taught that one must lean into it, observing it fully. He said, "A mind that runs from discomfort will always be enslaved. A mind that embraces discomfort becomes its master." In practical terms, sit with difficult emotions until they soften. Observe thoughts that resist or judge. Stay present when the mind urges escape. The act of embracing what is unpleasant strengthens the observer seat, allowing the silent center to grow more resilient. Discomfort is not a threat. It is a gateway to freedom. Section 13. The unity of body and mind. Takeshi understood that mental control cannot exist without physical presence. The body is the vessel of the mind. Restless posture breeds restless thoughts. Tense muscles cultivate tension in perception. Shallow breathing perpetuates distraction. Takeshi's method trained students to align body, breath, and mind simultaneously, feet rooted firmly on the ground, spine erect yet relaxed, shoulders soft, hands lightly resting, breathing flowing deep into the hara. In this alignment, the mind mirrors the body, calm, alert, centered. Thoughts are no longer chaotic. Emotions are no longer impulsive. He often stated, "The mind cannot be commanded alone. It is the body that carries the mind into battle." Physical discipline, meditation, and posture work together to cultivate holistic mental sovereignty. Section 14. The silence of intention. Takeshi's teachings emphasize the silence of intention, the quiet power that comes when action is aligned with purpose. Many people act with distraction, reacting to impulses or external pressures. Takeshi taught that mental control allows intention to lead every action. The process is simple but profound. Before speaking, pause. Before moving, center yourself. Before deciding, observe your motives. Even the smallest decisions, when made consciously, ripple into mastery over the self. Silence of intention is not an action. It is deliberate presence. It is the difference between a mind tossed by circumstance and a mind that creates reality. Section 15. The temporal flow. Living in the present moment. Takeshi emphasized, the mind that is lost in the past, or worried about the future, cannot command the present. Mental mastery is inseparable from presence. He instructed, when fear arises, focus on the immediate sensation of breath. When anger rises, notice the physical stirrings in the body. When doubt clouds judgment, anchor in the current moment. By living fully in the present, the mind stops being distracted by regrets or anxieties. It becomes fluid, adaptive, and calm, capable of acting with clarity. Presence is the bridge between thought and action. Presence is the foundation of unshakable control. Section 16. The secret of internal freedom. Takeshi taught that absolute mental control does not create rigidity. Rather, it creates freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from reactivity, freedom from compulsive desire, freedom from inner tyranny. The more disciplined the mind becomes, the less it is bound by circumstances, opinion, or ego. He said, the controlled mind is not a cage, it is wings. By mastering the internal landscape, the practitioner is free to navigate life with purpose, courage, and wisdom, unaffected by the storms outside. Section 17. The invisible power of consistency. Takeshi often repeated, small actions, repeated faithfully, become the greatest forces. Mental mastery is not achieved in a single meditation or heroic act. It is built through daily consistency, observing thoughts each morning, practicing breath awareness during moments of tension, repeating the command word in moments of distraction, letting go of attachments. Regular consistency embeds the method into the nervous system. It transforms discipline into instinct. It allows the silent center to remain unmoved, no matter the external chaos. Section 18. The spiritual dimension for Takeshi. Mental control was inseparable from spiritual development. He emphasized that the mind, body, and spirit are intertwined. Mastery over thought deepens inner insight. Mastery over emotion strengthens character. Mastery over impulse cultivates integrity. The path of the inner warrior is not simply practical, it is transcendent. Through rigorous observation, breath, detachment, and presence, the student begins to perceive the universal flow behind reality, the invisible current that guides all life. Takeshi described this as the ultimate goal, the alignment of self with the rhythm of existence. Section 19. Modern application of Takeshi's method. Takeshi's teachings were born centuries ago. Their relevance today is profound. In the modern world, mental turbulence comes from information overload, social pressure, constant distraction, anxiety about the future, overwhelm from choice. Applying Takeshi's method today is simple but transformative. Pause before reacting. Observe without judgment. Breathe deeply into the hara. Invoke your internal command word. Let go of unnecessary attachments. Return to the silent center. These small, consistent acts allow you to respond instead of react, act instead of overthinking, remain calm in chaos, build clarity, focus, and inner freedom. Mental sovereignty is no longer a distant ideal, it becomes a lived, daily experience. Section to owe the legacy of Takeshi's greatest teaching was never about techniques or rituals. It was about living as a sovereign mind in a chaotic world. Observe your thoughts. Breathe into stillness. Detach without avoidance. Release what does not serve. Stand firmly in the silent center. By doing so, you cultivate clarity, peace, strength, freedom. Reminded his students, the world cannot touch the mind that is unmoved. The mind that is disciplined is unbreakable. The heart that is quiet is infinite. To follow Takeshi's path is to walk the way of the inner warrior. It is not easy, it is not fast, but it is enduring, and it is yours. Conclusion. Awakening the silent center. Takeshi's method is not merely a practice, it is a way of being. It transforms chaos into order, distraction into focus, weakness into power, reactivity into sovereignty. Silent center is not an abstract concept. It is present in every breath, every pause, every conscious choice. By walking this path faithfully, you discover you are not a victim of your mind. You are its master. You are the calm within the storm. You are unshakable. And in that realization lies freedom, the ultimate gift of Takeshi's teachings.